So, I am actually sick, just a head cold, but quite a mean one. So, many apologies if any sort of sounds of illness managed to make it through to the video. Anyway, I still have to do my daily video. So, the game that I found today is called Morning Starter. And the storyline, I do like a game with a storyline, is that the sun has entered its white dwarf phase, and we have advanced technology and a Dyson sphere that we can use as a kind of fusion reactor to try and trigger the sun back into life again. This is a game like Atomas, where you combine elements to make elements further up the progression. It also says it's Balatro themed. I'm not quite sure how that works. I haven't actually played those two games properly. But yeah, so we're trying to get up to element 118. It's also worth noting, as the dev says, that he has no scientific accuracy. He's just gone with the coolness factor rather than actual, sort of scientific education factor, which is entirely fair, entirely reasonable. He also said that this was an entry to a game jam, Shovel Jam, in which it actually won in one of the categories. So I'm not really surprised. It's a very, very good looking game. He does, in a burst of self-deprecation, talk about how he didn't really work properly on it, didn't really do testing and things like that, and he was going to give up on it and move onwards, but he hasn't given up because there's been a lot of support from the guys in the game jam. It was one of those game jams where they then played the games on a stream, and yeah, so on. So a lot of support, and I think this is a lesson to all of us to show this is how much work will roll into games if we ever support as the community. A lot of people, developers, YouTubers, etc., are inspired and driven by signs of support. So yeah. He has some interesting thoughts and ideas here, turning into a sort of a lobotomy corporation, and things like that. I like those ideas. I think this can go quite a way. We'll play the game and we'll talk about the critique a little bit when we get there. Let me just find my notes. And I think it's going to be a fun moment in a game that I highly recommend coming to give it a shout. Link will be in the description. It's an itch.io game. And I think it's Unity. Is that the case? Yeah. So let's hit the run and jump into it and see what we can see. It has a quite relentless bursting music in the background. I'm not sure if that's coming through. Let's just have a look at the levels here. Okay, it looks relatively low. Anyway, so this is our play space. We have an hydrogen molecule, I guess, floating in this kind of our space here. This tells us what the molecule is. I think that is in the center. We can also mouse over it to get information on it. We have a research page with an attractive anime girl who's Sokolovna, I guess. And we can buy these things using the energy that we make. We'll have a look at how we make the energy in a minute. That do various things that help us progress, I guess, I hope. I haven't really gone too far into it, so I'm not quite sure what they all do. There is also an item phase. Once we buy something from the research, it goes here into the item page, and this is where we click on it and then use it. And there is a tutorial, which is quite an interesting experience. But we're not going to go through the tutorial. I do recommend, if you come and play the game, come and have a look at it. But what we can do is click on this. That doesn't do anything. We can click on an empty patch of space, and the molecule appears there. And it seems to stabilize itself by going to the opposite side. Now we have a proton, and what protons do is they try and fuse adjacent to particles. So, So those two counted as adjacent to particles, and when we sort of push the proton into the reaction space, they used it to combine into the next molecule up, which is helium. So we have a mass of 1 for the hydrogen. Once we get 2 hydrogens and fuse them together, they become helium, which is kind of what our sun is doing at the moment. It's our sun is a massive fusion reactor turning hydrogen into helium. So I like this a little bit. So far so good. And that fusion gave us 600 yojo, I forget what the Y is, something joules. So a huge amount of energy, but not enough to buy any of our research elements anyway. So we can continue popping molecules out. We get another proton. And combine those. Get another proton here. Will it combine those? So we're up to mass number 3, well, atomic number 3, which is lithium. We can just and this is essentially the gameplay in a nutshell. We pop molecules out. These are all just protons. Okay, well, we've got lots of combinations we can throw in there. Let's pop a lithium out here. And we're up to... Oh, there was briefly beryllium, and then we jumped up to boron, which is atomic number 5. And we can keep on popping these molecules out. Let's see if we can get a chain reaction here. No, we can't. So sometimes you get chain reactions in certain circumstances. I'm not quite sure how they work, but they are a good thing. Now, the limit of the game is that we can't get up to 18 items. If we get up to that many items, then there's too much stuff happening in the reactor and it explodes, and we fail in our task. Have to start again from the beginning. So yeah, that's not quite what we want to do. Let's see now if we do this. Okay, no. I'm still kind of experimenting with what triggers what when we pop things out. What makes a chain reaction? How does that work? See, that wasn't a chain reaction, but maybe if I put it onto one side, I don't quite know. We're getting pretty high up here. We're up to carbon, atomic number 6. We're trying to get to 118, so it's a long way to go. But we also have a lot of energy, so we can have a look at some of these things to buy. We have something called the collapse catalyst. Immediately forces fusion between the core and the lowest element in the Dyson reactor. Okay. We have something that turns any random particle in the Dyson reactor into a muon. This muon can only act at the end of the turn. I don't know what muons do. I haven't been exposed to them yet. That's a duplicate of the same thing. And immediately forces fusion between the core and the lowest element in the Dyson reactor. Okay, so those are 2 duplicates. Those are 2 duplicates. Let's see what the muon one does. So we buy that. And we lose some energy, but we now have this here. Let's click this. So now we have a muon. Forcibly fuse 2 adjacent particles into a much higher particle. It does not repeat itself, unlike the proton. So if we pop it on this side, we end up with nitrogen. So we've jumped quite far ahead, and so on. And that's the game. I'm not going to show you too much more of the gameplay. I'm going to escape out of it and reload it because this music is blasting in my ears. So, with the hope of helping the dev with my arbitrary critique and helping him get to somewhere useful with his progression, I am going to say the following critique. But first I'm going to say thank you for watching. If you are just here for the gameplay, then I do recommend you like, comment and subscribe, because that trains the YouTube algorithm both for my channel and for you. It teaches it what kind of games you like. What kind of videos you like, and will give you more videos of that kind. And this is gaming videos, and you're watching it, so I'm assuming you're into gaming videos. So yeah, train the YouTube algorithm to give you more gaming videos. And yeah, thank you for watching if you're heading out, and I'll see you in the next video. If, however, you are here for the critique, which I do recommend because critique is good, especially if you are a game dev, you know, it's always a good idea to listen to stuff like this because it pops ideas into your head, I hope. Right, so this game is called Morning Starter, and it is by Monarch, a winner at the Shovel Jam 2025, which is fantastic. Bravo, Monarch, well done. I am not surprised. That is a very good looking game. It has a story. We're trying to restart the sun. A deeper story might be an idea, as mentioned down below, something with a corporate theme or something like that. But you know, it's up to you. That is sufficient story to try and get some immersion in. Although some kind of in-game theme elements might be helpful for that. I don't know, news articles about the collapse of civilization and whatever things you feel fits the world that you've envisioned here. Right, so let's talk about the UI. Okay, I'm going to talk about the first thing that I always complain about in the vast majority of the game videos that I do. Where are the sound controls, the quality of life sound controls? How can I turn the music off but still have the in-game sounds? How can I turn the volumes down? That kind of stuff. A lot of people have heard me whinge on about it before, but I think it's quite important for broadening the scope of the number of people who want to play your game. People who don't like the music, who feel overwhelmed by it and want it to go away but still want in-game sounds. So I do recommend in your new game, if you're not going to update this one, add sound controls. Give your players some quality of life. The sounds themselves, I couldn't really hear them over the relentless music, so I'm not quite sure what in-game sounds are like. It didn't really catch my attention. The music's pretty good. I think a little bit too high a BPM for me. I prefer slower, sort of more bass-heavy stuff, but that's very much a personal opinion. The art of the game looks very good. I like the drifting crosshairs and things in the background. I like the look of the molecules. I like the way they change color. It's good. It's a very, very good game. Looks-wise. The game feeling and the gameplay. Well, this is where we're talking about the tutorial, because I have to admit I didn't find it particularly useful. I gather that it was kind of thrown together as an attempt to add a tutorial, but I think a good tutorial in a game as complex as this is a good idea, is something that you definitely want, because it's going to intimidate people if they don't know what they're doing. But if you can lead them into it step by step, maybe with some prejudged molecules and sort of your pretty anime girl, what's her name, Soko, might be able to tell the player what to do. Have her appear on the screen and just suggest some things. A better tutorial would be my recommendation there. Games are difficult, and indie games are kind of a front line because they're very easy to get to. So a lot of people who don't do a lot of game playing play indie games, and they need tutorials. It's amazing how much people don't know about how to play a game. So yeah, tutorial. Add a better tutorial, something that really holds the player's hand, tells them what they're gonna do. And then of course all the stuff that you've mentioned. You need to add more interesting things into the items and research page. You need to have some more background theming stuff happening. Add some visual depth to the game, even if it's got nothing to do with the game mechanics. Visual depth in a game like this is really important to really pull the player in and give them extra visceral satisfaction at accomplishing a game goal. But those are my critiques. I'm going to say, those set aside, this is a really cool game. It's really interesting. It's very good looking. It's fun to play. And I heartily recommend it to everyone to come give it a go. Come give the dev some love. Come see what the game jam's all about. All those kind of stuff. And come and play it. Link will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.